So some of the meetings council has taken part in, or the events that have taken place since our last update. On January 30th and 31st, Councillor Helen Miller attended the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association conference that was held in Toronto. On January 30th, Councillor Audrey Paulus-Bombry and I attended the grand opening of the SNAP building, which I talked about earlier. And on the 31st of January, I was a guest of Union Gas at the Canadian Council on Aboriginal Business Annual Gala, which was a good networking opportunity with business people throughout the province and across the country. On February 4th, I was invited and took part in and brought some words at a friendship walk that was held in Brantford. This was organized by a group of individuals to just demonstrate that we are friends here, and it was done in light of the shooting that was done at the Muslim mosque in Quebec City, and with the ban that's been imposed in the United States. On February 7th, I had the opportunity to participate in an Indigenous Women's Treaty Forum in Toronto. We heard from a number of speakers, and Premier Kathleen Wynne spent the afternoon with us to hear about some of the concerns of Indigenous women leaders. On February 8th and 9th, Councillors Terry General, Carl Hill, and I attended the Iroquois Caucus meeting that was held in Ottawa. Some of the items that we discussed were hunting and fishing, border crossing, free trade amongst our communities, the Indian Agricultural Program, pipelines and our opposition to them, and our alliance with the Treaty Alliance, an upcoming language summit. And we also had a presentation from a lady at Akwesasne who was successful in getting her child registered under their one single traditional name, and able to get their Ontario birth certificates to say that. So if anyone's interested in doing that, we can get you some information on that. We also had a session with some of the Minister of Justice's staff to talk about the review of legislation and nation-to-nation meetings. On February 8th, Councillor Mark Hill attended the Brantford Sports Hall of Fame annual banquet on behalf of Six Nations and provided greetings on our behalf. On February 9th, I attended a session with Hydro One in Toronto and attended their banquet, and that's where I had the opportunity to speak to Minister Thibeault about the on-reserve First Nations rate. And on February 10th, I took part in a political confederacy meeting at the Chiefs of Ontario, where we discussed issues related to environment and justice and health and education. And this is done with the Grand Chiefs throughout the province. And later that evening, I attended the opening ceremonies of the Ontario Parasports Winter Games that were held in Brantford, and Premier Wynne was also in attendance for that. So some of the upcoming meetings we have. On February 15th, I'll be taking part in a Chiefs Committee on Wealth Creation at the Chiefs of Ontario in Toronto. I'm actually the chair of that meeting, and we're going to talk about more strategies related to how we can start creating more wealth in our communities. On the 16th, I, along with some staff from Woodland and Cultural Centre and Tourism, will be meeting with the Honourable Eleanor McMahon, who is the Provincial Minister of Tourism, Sport and Culture. I want to remind everybody as well that there is going to be community presentations on the effects of fentanyl, which is a new drug that has been found a lot in Vancouver, Toronto, and maybe even seeping in our community. So we want to make the community aware of the effects of this terrible drug. There's going to be two sessions. One is going to be on the 15th of February from 6 to 8, and that's going to be open for community members. And one will be held on February 17th from 1 to 3 p.m. I plan on attending the one on February 17th, as I won't be available for the 15th. On the 22nd and 23rd, I will be in Toronto again to take part and start preparing outreach documents so that we can come out to the community to talk about the Hydro One sales and the agreement that has been reached. That same day, we will also be taking part in the committee hearings at Ontario with respect to the Aggregate Act. And I'll also be meeting with the Minister of Natural Resources, and one of the things we want to talk to her about are hunting and fishing. February 27th to March 2nd will be the Good Roads Convention, and we have 3 councillors attending that, Councillor Terry General, Charlie Wayne Martin, and Carl Hill. At the same time, there will be a Chiefs of Ontario Health Forum, which I will be attending, along with our councillors Sherry Lynn Hill-Pierce, Melba Thomas, and Hazel Johnson. And on March 1st and 2nd, we'll have a couple of more councillors, Bob Johnson and I think Dave Hill, are going to attend a conference in Niagara Falls about overlapping claims that is being put on by our Lands and Resources Department. So as you can see, we're very, very busy here at council. We've got a lot of things going on, and I think it's good that Six Nations is certainly well recognized out there in the province, and we've got a lot of support from the provincial government anyway, and we're working on more support with the federal government. And lastly, I just want to extend congratulations to Gail Obadiah on the release of her CD, Let the Eagle Fly. The CD was officially released on February 4th at the Woodland Cultural Centre, and then Gail donated all the proceeds of the release and of the evening towards the Save the Evidence campaign at the Woodland Cultural Centre, which is in place to refurbish the old former Mohawk Institute. So that was it for this update. Talk to you next month. Nyawa.